The Titans 2025 schedule is out. 0 primetime games. We'll talk about it. An entire month at home. We'll talk about all of this and more. This is the Music City Audible. Let's get to it. Welcome everyone to another episode of the Music City Audible podcast presented by Broadway Sports Media in partnership with 440 Sports and sponsored by Sinkers Beverages, the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville, serving the community since 1985. I'm Justin Graver. With me, as always, Justin Melo. Justin, the long wait is over. We know when and where the Titans are playing all the teams that we knew they were playing. How's it going?
Yeah, doing well. I'll admit, I think the schedule release is probably the most ridiculous thing on the NFL calendar. We've known who they're going to play for a while now. I mean, yeah, it's fun if you're planning a trip and you find out when and where they're playing. I could go here, I could go there. But, it's really just the NFL's way of dominating the news cycle, in my opinion, or trying to stay relevant in the news cycle. It's a success. Good for them. I can't believe how crazy fans get about the schedule release. I was writing last night until like 10 p.m. just because I had to, because of this, the fanfare surrounding it. But I'm glad it's out, and I'm glad we get to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I was editing Heed the Call till 1 o'clock in the morning, our schedule release reaction podcast that is up now, by the way, if you want to go listen to it. After this, of course. But I think there's like a disconnect between fans and media on this one because the NFL, the NFL, they dominate so much of the calendar successfully. I think the draft is obviously a huge success, but it's all things that like media and fans equally care about, which adds to all the interest. But for the schedule, I feel like every media person I've ever talked to is like, who cares? And a lot of fans are not like that. Fans want to know, how many primetime games are we getting? When's the bye week? When can I travel to see my team? When can I take my kids to a game here locally or whatever? So it's just one of those weird things. We were talking about this on Heed the Call, that the NBA draft lottery and how they do things in the middle of the playoffs. Like, you already have the eyeballs of NBA fans. You don't need to do the draft lottery during the pregame for Knicks Celtics because people are already paying attention to your league at that time.
The NHL does the same thing. The NHL does their draft lottery in the playoffs.
The NFL, on the other hand, is like, when can we do this where nothing is happening that we can dominate headlines again? And they picked the middle of May, and it's worked pretty well since they did. Because remember, the schedule used to come out before the draft, and they flipped everything around. So very fun time if you are one of those fans looking for what games you can go to. So we're going to get into our top takeaways. Justin, I want to start broad, looking at the overall schedule. And I think the thing that sticks out the most is the 0 primetime games. Now, are you surprised the Titans got 0 primetime games after drafting Cam Ward number 1 overall, or is this sort of what you were expecting?
I'm a little surprised. I thought they'd probably get 1 just based off the fact that you've got a number 1 overall quarterback. We were all kind of looking in a group chat, looking at this and how rare this truly is. And Zach Lyons did the legwork, decided to actually put the work in while we were all just wondering. Myles Garrett was the last number 1 overall pick to not get a primetime game. I mean, you're going back already, 7-8 years? And before him, if you narrow that scope down to just quarterbacks, Cam Newton was the last number 1 overall quarterback to not get a primetime game. So when you pair those two facts together, it's pretty obvious that Cam Ward is on the short end of history here, right? Like, typically speaking, you're going to get a primetime game when you're a number 1 overall pick, and B, especially when you're a number 1 overall quarterback. Am I shocked that it's the Titans that bucked that trend? I guess not, right? Because if they can do it to anyone, it's probably the Titans. Now, someone from the NFL front office, his name doesn't matter. He just
VP of Broadcast Planning, Mike North.
There you go, Mike North. Well, that's a Will Ferrell character name in a movie. Mike North, VP of Broadcasting, gave an explanation on why. And I didn't mind the first sentence where he says, well, you play your way into prime time. You don't draft your way into prime time. That's kind of fair. 3-14, worst team in the league, small market. Let's be honest. We know it's still a small market. So a lot of things worked against the Titans here. Ultimately, they've got no one to blame but themselves. The most interesting thing about Mike North's statement was that Titans will have opportunities to get flexed into primetime if they play well. And he points out the late season games against the Kansas City Chiefs and the San Francisco 49ers. Makes me think those two games were, scheduled at the end there very strategically, saying, hey, we know we haven't given this team any primetime games. Let's give them some late season opponents that would be worthy of flexing into primetime if they play well and earn it. So if the Titans are one of the surprise performers this year, Cam Ford's electrifying. They're in, somewhat in postseason contention. You'll get one of those games probably flexed into primetime.
Yeah, it's the if Cam Ward is good contingency, we can take advantage of it. I do take a little issue with the idea that you have to play your way into primetime. When you look at other teams,
fair.
When you look at I'm going to shout out our buddy Bonafide Bro on Twitter who has his own YouTube channel, Section 240, great content you should go check out. And he pointed out that the Falcons, Jaguars, Giants, Jets, Raiders, and Bears all played their way into primetime games last season. Like, I personally, I have no issue with the fact the Titans didn't get a primetime game. Like, that's fine. I agree. They didn't earn it. They are one of the smallest market teams in the country, so they don't necessarily deserve a prime. They don't have the hype around this team to garner a primetime audience. Now, obviously, Nashville is hyped for Cam Ward, but even then, we still got to see this team on the field and see Brian Callahan be a good coach. More on that in a little bit. But the idea that the Giants played their way into primetime, that the Bears isn't just based off hiring Ben Johnson and the projection that they're going to be better because of that. Well, the Jets played their way into primetime. They had, 5 major primetime games last year and completely shat the bed in those instances. The Raiders played their way into primetime. I know this is not real. I know this is not the reason. It's because of market size and excitement and all of those things. But why not just say, some teams bring in more money for the league and the Titans until they, become good, aren't bringing in money.
I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? Like, I do believe to a degree that, the Titans didn't play their way into primetime.
The Commanders played their way into primetime.
Right, and they
that's
got like
a great
6
example.
Of them, right? 5 or 6
8,
of them.
8 standalone, yeah.
8 standalone if you include like overseas and Christmas and Saturday and stuff. But I think it's the truth somewhere in the middle because, I agree, like the Titans didn't play their way into primetime, and I'm sure that did make up some part of it, like the decision to not give them a primetime game. But when it comes to the other teams, the Bears, the Giants, even the Cowboys, right, who can go 7-10 and still get, half their games on primetime, that's where the market size obviously comes into effect, right? Oh, well, we can give the Jets a primetime game no matter what, the Bears, the Cowboys, right? Where Titans, they don't get that equalizer, right? They can't say, well, we were bad, but we're in a huge market in East Rutherford or in Dallas, or Texas. So it's like, yeah, it's a bit of both.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the last thing I'll say on this point, and this is just, I'm getting into speculation territory. I can't help but wonder, over the last few weeks, if the Titans had done a little bit more to generate some hype and some buzz around Cam Ward, if that interest had gone national, if they might have gotten one. And maybe it has nothing to do with it. But Justin, I do have some inside reporting from a trusted source that inside the Titans building, they are looking at this fan reaction to the lack of Cam Ward content, and that all my bitching and moaning on Twitter that some people have agreed with and some people have disagreed with is actually being heard inside the building, and that more Cam Ward content is coming. Now, I cannot reveal who told me this, but
they put a little out already since then. It feels like they've already tried to kind of put out a bit more, and I'm sure more is coming. I have no doubt about that.
So I just can't help but wonder. It's probably too late, but I can't help but wonder.
I will say, and I want to spend no time on this at all, but it's really annoying. I guarantee you they draft Shedeur Sanders #1 overall. They've got a primetime game. I guarantee it, right? Part like the market, the losing, but it's also the fact that Cam Ward's one of the most least hyped #1 overall quarterbacks in a long time. And part of that is he emerged really late, right, in his process. And part of that's also how low-key he is, right? Like, if it's Shedeur Sanders #1, the Titans have a primetime game.
To that point, though, the Browns are one of the 3 teams with 0 primetime games. It's Browns, Titans, and Saints.
I do think it changes that a little bit. Right?
I agree.
Like, they don't know if they take him #2, I bet they get a primetime game because he's going to start at some point. With a 5th round pick, you don't know for sure that he's going to start.
Let's talk about the bye week. The bye is in week 10. I think this is an ideal bye week here for the Titans. It's, that college football season length, and we talk about rookies hitting the rookie wall all the time. And when you got a team that is going to be led by a rookie, having a bye in week 10 is a pretty nice time. It's not quite midseason. It's a little tiny bit past midseason. So you give them 9 games to understand this is the rigors of the NFL. And then you get to that week 10 and it's like in college, you'd have, 3 to 5 games left, depending on how good your season is going. In the NFL, you're just over the halfway point. So that moment to get a reset, I think is good. Sometimes when you have like a young head coach like Brian Callahan who's unproven, it can help to have an early season bye so that he can like reevaluate how things are going after the
They had
first
it
few
last
weeks.
year. It didn't help him.
I agree. I was about to say, and they had that last year, and it didn't really seem to make that much of a difference. So I'll take the Week 10 bye as a fan. I think that's like one of the more ideal spots that you can get the bye.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add. I will say it's a well-placed buy. I think you always want it like between week 8 and week 10. You want it after that 7th, 8th, or 9th game. So you're at right about the halfway point to reevaluate. And you're at the halfway point to, hopefully the injury bug hasn't bitten you too hard that first half. Gives you a little bit of time to recuperate, give the body a break for what's almost an equal 50% share, right, of what's left in your season. So I think it's a well-placed buy.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Justin, before we get into the week 1, more granular look at the schedule, we're going to hit I'll Drink to That, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages, and here's what I'm drinking to. The Titans schedule release video was very good. It wasn't quite as big of a banger as the Broadway one from 2023, which they then tried to kind of recreate last year, which I thought didn't go as well. It was very good, though. I thought the concept was good. I thought the shots they took at other teams were funny, and I'll let you comment on that, but I also want to talk about the Colts video. So what did you think of the Titans video first?
Yeah, it might have been a little too quirky and flown over some people's heads. I thought it was so brilliant that sometimes it seemed to do really well on like national accounts. Like I saw like Mike Golick tweeting it. I think Bill Simmons tweeted it. Like Ian Rappaport tweeted it. Like it did really well with those folks. I hope you guys realize how brilliant and creative it was. Everyone's favorite part was the same, right? Talking about the side effects. And when the Texans game shows up, they talked about imposter syndrome. I mean, my God, what a banger of a joke with the whole Houston Oilers history. So that was my favorite part by far.
Yeah, and I love that they did a 1.5-minute long video that with a clever way to go through the actual schedule part of the video where it's like each side effect is a different game on the schedule. Like I thought it was really well done. And you compare that to like the Ravens did an extremely elaborate 6.5-minute Severance parody video where you've got Eric DaCosta nursing a baby goat in the draft war room. It was very funny, and like kudos to the Ravens for going all out like that. I watched this whole 6.5-minute thing wondering where the actual schedule was, and it was too much. It was too long. It was too overproduced. And I want to talk about the Colts video because the Colts did a Minecraft video. The Chargers also did a Minecraft video, and the Colts deleted their Minecraft video and then posted a second separate schedule release video. And they put out a statement on why they deleted the Minecraft video. We removed our schedule release video because it exceeded our rights with Microsoft and included an insensitive clip involving Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. We sincerely apologize to Microsoft and Tyreek. Their video also features Will Levis getting run over by a bus as he's eating mayo out of a jar of mayo. And the Tyreek Hill incident was him being arrested outside of Miami Stadium. What the hell, Colts?
Right? Which happened last season, but
yeah.
Colt's gonna Colt. I mean, it always blows me away that people are gonna sit in a room and approve that. Like, I don't know who thought that was a good idea. And it probably took more than one person to say, yeah, we should feature Tyreek Hill getting arrested. And what a great idea. Like, just unbelievably stupid. Never blows my mind how dumb people can be.
And both of them, the Colts and Chargers, did a Minecraft recreation of Jordan Schultz and Ian Rappaport fighting. And I wonder if the Colts were just like, the Chargers video is better than ours in the same theme, so let's just delete ours and put out the other one that we made because this is like, we're getting...
They had a backup.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll Drink to That, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages, the premier wine, spirits, and beer store in East Nashville, serving the community since 1985. Their knowledgeable staff is proud to help you with large parties, themed events, or finding something unique for a special occasion. From birthday parties to milestone celebrations to everyday moments, Sinkers can help with the right drink for every occasion. If you head to their website or check the link in this podcast description, you can join the In-Crowd for free. In-Crowd members get access to allocated wines and spirits, exclusive events, early access to barrel releases, and more. By the way, if anyone wants to see the now deleted Colts schedule video, Ari Myrov has tweeted it. So go to his Twitter account. You can watch it. All right, Justin, granular look here. Week 1 at Denver. I want to talk about this game, even though it's too early to preview any games, and it's too early to look at a win-loss record for the season because injuries are going to change things. Teams are going to be better and worse than we thought. I hate looking at like overall strength of schedule. The Titans apparently have the 4th easiest strength of schedule based on last year's win-loss records, but we know that is a pretty irrelevant thing. They also have a good strength of schedule according to Vegas win total predictions, which is a little bit more accurate than just looking at last year's win-loss record, but it's also not that accurate, so I still hesitate to even gauge strength of schedule. I do think overall it's a pretty favorable schedule for the Titans in terms of, we talked about the bye, in terms of their traveling, in terms of they don't play a primetime game, which is not fun for fans, but it's easier for us. It's easier for the players to get on a routine and not have to worry
about
it.
They only play Sundays the whole year, every Sunday.
They only play Sundays at noon or 3:05 or 3:25. But as favorable as that schedule is, the opening of the schedule is not favorable. And so week 1 at Denver, the Titans played week 1 at Denver a few years ago in 2019 or 2020, I believe, and 2020, and they won that game 16-14. That is one of just 5 losses the Denver Broncos have suffered in their home opener since moving to Empower Field at Mile High in 2001. The Broncos are 19-5 in home openers since 2001. This spans multiple coaching staffs, multiple quarterbacks, many multiple quarterbacks, multiple regimes. Like, this is not this team is good in September at home. There is a distinct home field advantage to opening your season in the altitude at Mile High in the month of September. And the Titans are going to have to overcome this if they want to get the season off to a good start. That doesn't even mention the fact that the Broncos have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the league this season. And Cam Ward's making his first expected, we don't know this yet, but come on, first NFL start. This is a recipe for the season to get off on a pretty sour, disappointing note, I feel like.
Yeah, I didn't like this matchup either, and I'm hesitant to treat the Broncos like Super Bowl contenders. I get all that. They're okay, good, probably not great team. Maybe they'll take a step forward this year and Bo next year too. The reason I dislike the matchup is for many of the same reasons you said. I do think there's a clear altitude advantage to them playing at home, especially early in the season. I think they got a good home environment, good fan base. I think the atmosphere creates a bit of an extra advantage there. But what really strikes me is, what happens on the field. 63 sacks last year for the Broncos, by far the best in the league. Second place had 9 fewer sacks. It wasn't even close. What strikes me about that as well, I went and looked up the numbers. There's like top 7 guys who led them in sacks last year are all back. Like, that's crazy. That does not happen. Like Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis, Zach Allen, like all of who their highest sack producer who's not back is Cody Barton, who plays for the Titans, and had 1.5 sacks. They had 63 sacks. Everyone who had more than 1.5 sacks is still on the team. And it's the same defensive coordinator in Vance Joseph, right? So continuity, talent, deep team, ascending guys that don't get a lot of hype. Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, double-digit sacks last year. Like, just a really good football team, really good defense. New look O-line for the Titans, right? Like 2 new starters. J.C. Latham making his first career start at right tackle in the NFL. A tough assignment for a new look O-line. You'd want, we all know O-lines, they get better as they go on, need time to gel. No rest for the wicked for this O-line.
Yeah, they've got to be ready early, and it's going to be, this is going to be a tough game. Like, there's no bones about it. They also, you didn't even mention Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain, roaming the secondary. They draft Jahdae Barron in the first round. They have a great secondary and a great pass rush. That's how you have an elite defense, and it's going to be a challenge for the Titans to go up there and win that game because of what's the matchups on the field and just because of the voodoo surrounding this mysterious Denver home advantage. Now, if you're looking for reasons for optimism, which as a fan, I feel like we all should always be looking for some kernel of optimism, that 19-5 record since 2001. If we just take that the last 6 years, the Broncos are 2-4 in their home openers just over the last 6 years. So that's pretty bad. Sean Payton has not been great in home openers. I think, what is he, 1-1 with the Broncos or 1-2? How many years has Sean Payton? I got all these stats and I don't know the actual Sean Payton one. Sorry. But it's not a good record. It's not anything overly scary. And last thing, if you believe Cam Ward is the dude, Cam Ward went into Miami with major expectations, First game of the year was on the road at Florida, which is a crazy environment to play in. Now, it's not a long travel. It's not an altitude thing, but it's hot down there in early August or late August, early September, whenever the first game of that, probably the last weekend of August, going to the Swamp with high expectations and met and exceeded all of them. Now, obviously, Florida ended up being a bad team last year, so we can't say that Cam Ward is just Superman, but at least he has experience going on the road into tough environments. He did it at Washington State as well. The NFL is a different beast, so we'll see if he can handle it, but I kind of think he can handle it. I'm not even it's not like I'm worried that Cam Ward's going to go play poorly. It's like I'm worried that the Broncos are a way better team than the Titans and playing with a massive home field advantage there in that game. Do you have a final thought? We should move on, but if you do, go ahead.
Just quickly, it'll give Cam Ward an opportunity, right, in a tough environment to establish himself immediately. I want to run through some rapid fire thoughts quickly. I know, everyone considers the schedule to be pretty favorable. I think it's really tough to start. After that in week 2, you got a home opener with the LA Rams. That's back-to-back teams that made the playoffs last year, right? You kind of hope the excitement of your home opener, Cam Ward's first game at Nissan Stadium, can maybe help push you through. You got to try to just get one of those, right? As we learned last year, 0-2 is a tough spot to be, and the sky starts falling pretty quickly, when you're winless in your first couple games. I think it's a tough start all around. I think they got the Colts in week 3 at home in Tennessee, but then you're at Houston week 4, division winner, AFC South, CJ Stroud. So again, 3 of your 4 opening opponents are playoff teams from last year, and they all project to be pretty good again this year. And that's the start of a tough road stretch, I think, right there in Vegas and I think Arizona after that. So 3 road games in a row, weeks 4 to 6. I don't want to start the Brian Callahan discussion because they drafted a quarterback number 1. Callahan deserves time, and he should get it. But as we all know, in this league, sometimes you don't always get it. Even drafted, didn't give Ken Wisenhunt the time when he had a rookie quarterback, right? Like it does happen, and it happened last year as well in the with around the league with rookie quarterbacks. Coaches getting fired early. Yeah. So don't want to start that discussion, but this is a really tough schedule. You don't want to start 1-4, 1-5 because the Brian Callahan discussion probably starts there.
And on that note, just looking at those first 2 games, Denver and LA. First of all, 2 really strong defensive line groups. Like we talked about the Broncos, but the Rams are in that. I mean, they had all those rookies do incredibly well last year. So that's another big test right off the bat. And it's a huge test, in my opinion, for Brian Callahan because he still hasn't proven that he is a competent level head coach. And that's what we're looking for. If last year was all about understanding if Will Levis was the guy, which he proved not to be, this year's all about finding out if Brian Callahan is the guy. And to some extent, Cam Ward. But Cam Ward will get another chance if they're bad this year because Brian Callahan's going to have to fall on that sword. That's just how it's going to happen. Whether or not it's Cam Ward's fault or Callahan's fault. If the Titans aren't good this year, it's Brian Callahan's fault and he's getting fired, right? So we need to see him prove it that he can be a good head coach, not just a good offensive mind, which I truly believe he is one of the best offensive minds. But can you coach the whole team and not come out and lose the game in the first quarter and get your ass kicked on offense, defense, and special teams like we saw so many times last season? You're going up against Sean Payton, who's a legend, despite whatever you think of him as a person. He's a legend. And then you're going against Sean McVay in the next game, one of the best coaches in the league. So the coaching matchups to start the year are not great. It's also, if he is the guy, if Callahan is a good coach, he can prove it. Right off the bat, in those 2 games, he can give us the proof right there. So we're not going to go game by game looking at the schedule right now. We'll probably do that later in the summer. It's a good test there.
Quickly? Do you mind if I interject? Yeah. What I do want to cover quickly is that's a lengthy road stretch, right, in the middle of the year there, 4, 5, 6. Well, it's going to come back around, right? Like if you can survive that after the week 8 game against the Colts, which I think is October 26th or something like that, the Titans will be at home. That's a road date. Yeah, Colts October 26th on the road. Titans will be at home from October 27th through the early part of December. You got the Chargers in week 9 at home. Then you've got the bye week. Then you got 3 more home games in a row. I mean, you got is it Houston, Seattle, and there's one more in there.
Jacksonville.
You're at home 4 games in a row, 5 weeks in a row, including the bye week. So if you can survive that early season stretch, float around 500 even, you've got a real opportunity in the middle of your year there, right at your bye week 9 to about week 12. You're going to be home every single week What a week 9 to 13, actually, I think, including the bye. You're going to be at home every single week with a terrific opportunity to go on a little run and kind of position yourself for a late season push, if you will, to postseason contention. Survive those first couple weeks. Don't get Brian Callahan fired. Go 2-2. Win your home opener against the Rams because you're always fired up for a home opener. Beat Indianapolis, who's a very winnable. Beat Houston. You beat Houston this past year. Beat Houston again when you've got a better football team. Float around 4-4, 2-2, 3-3, I should say. And then you're going to be home for 5 straight weeks. Give yourself the chance to position yourself for some late season success.
Even if they're like 2-6 after the 8th week of the season, like it's not. Oh, we've seen teams. It's hard and it's rare, but like the Rams did it last year. We saw the Colts do it once upon a time.
I'm going to say 3-5, 4-4. You gotta be.
I mean, you want to be better than 2-6, but like realistically, are we expecting this team to like make a playoff push this year?
No,
are we expecting
but I'm
them to
hoping
show
you're not.
improvement?
I guarantee you right now, neither of us expect it to be a playoff push. But if we're sitting here 2-6, we're going to be pretty frustrated and disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, and there's not there's not that many matchups that stand out as super tough. Like they don't play the Ravens, they don't play the Bills, they don't play the Eagles, they don't play the Commanders. Like there's juggernaut teams in the NFL the Titans avoid outside of Kansas City. We'll see how good San Francisco
and that's so
actually
late,
is.
right? Like it's
we'll see how good
where you're competing.
We'll see how good the Chargers actually are. Everyone expects them to probably take a step forward in Harbaugh's second year. We'll see how good the Broncos really are. Like, we saw C.J. Stroud have a second-year sophomore slump. We could see the same from Bo Nix. We could see the same from any of the second-year quarterbacks. So we don't really know how good these teams are. But I will say, there are 5 Sundays in the month of November this year. Usually there's 4 Sundays in a month. If any calculator experts or any calendar expert heads out there, there's usually 4 Sundays in each month, right? Well, there's 5 Sundays in the month of November, and the Titans do not have a road game in the month of November. It is absurd and cool, and it's like the one huge favor that the schedule makers gave to the Titans here, taking away the primetime. I will take this trade all day. 40 days at home versus a primetime game. Give me the 40 days at home.
Absolutely. And quickly to your point about the schedule, like I see a lot of good, not great teams, right? Like teams that are going to be favored over the Titans, rightfully so. But the way I bucket them is there's a lot of 9, 10 win teams. The Broncos, the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Texans. Like I consider all of those teams to probably be like 9, 10 win teams. And then maybe you got the teams like the Cardinals and the Raiders that are like 6, 7, 8, 9 win teams, right? Like not a lot of terrible, but not a lot of great either, in my opinion. So these are games you're going to be underdogs in, but they're very winnable as well.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, mentioned how many games are going to be underdogs in. I wanted to ask you, how many games do you think the Titans will be favored in this year?
Oh,
just like
not a
random
lot.
guess.
Right off the top of my head, I'm going to go with like 5.5. 5.5.
You think 5? I think that's high. I think teams like the Patriots, who were bad last year, the Raiders, who were bad last year, the Seahawks with a second-year head coach, the Browns. I think like the Browns, Saints, maybe they're favored at home against a division opponent if the division is as weak as we expect. So that's interesting. Now, they do close the season at Jacksonville. This game has not been set yet. It could be flexed. Is this game for the division?
No. No. I'm going to go with no.
I think there's a tiny chance it could be, but I think even if the Titans are the second best team in the division, it's because the Texans are the best team in the division. And if the Titans are the third best team in the division, it's because Texans and Jags are both better than them. Now, the Titans could surprise us if Cam Ward is really that dude, but not really what I'm expecting. All right, Justin, that's the schedule. That is it. We have it. We're ready for it. Are you going to any games this year?
I'd love to. I don't know. I talked to a buddy of mine who's a Rams fan. I said, why don't we do the home opener together? I don't know. I'd love to. I miss Nashville. I'm desperate to get back.
I don't think I'll be able to make it because unfortunately I work on Sundays, but we'll see. Maybe I'll take a week off to go see a game. Let us know what games you're going to in the comments below. Let us know what you think of the schedule, where you see the hardest wins, easiest wins. Give me maybe a record prediction. We're going to do a record prediction another time. We're not going to do it today. So you guys can do it in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and drop a comment below, as I said. Thanks again also to Sinkers Beverages for sponsoring the episode. We'll be back early next week to continue talking about the Titans, I guess. Now we have to make up stuff to talk about. Let us know what you want us to talk about in the comments below, Justin. What are we going to talk about next week?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right, until then, y'all stay safe out there and tighten up.
a Broadway sports media production.